It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. Our conversation with Matthew Diffee is brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. The book is the best of the Rejection Collection, 297 cartoons that were too dark, too weird, or too dirty for the New Yorker. And Matt, full confession here, I was about three-quarters of the way through the book when I said, well, when are we going to get to the ones that were rejected? Because I thought these were all good enough to be there right from the start.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're not rejected because they're not good. They're rejected because they're wildly inappropriate for a sophisticated magazine like The New Yorker. So, yeah, it's 55 different cartoonists, or 54, I think. My colleagues, friends, and most of our stuff gets rejected, and these ones get rejected for good reason. But I just gather them all and put them into these books. Well, we have a lot of fun with it. One
of the great things about it is we sort of get some insight into, because of the little interview segments that you have with each of these guys and gals. We get some insight into how these things are created and what a process it is. They're fun for us to read the finished product, but man, they have to be work for you.
Yeah. Well, that turned out to be my favorite part of the books. I mean, I love the cartoons, but by the time you put the book together, you've seen them all many times, so they kind of, lose their immediate impact. But for me, sending out these questionnaires, which is just a bunch of sort of like open-ended questions and kind of like creative challenges, I send them out to the cartoonists, and then they start coming back, and to me, that was the most fun stuff to read. And to see how different cartoonists' minds work, on the same creative problem or question, Like one of the questions is like, what would make a terrible pizza topping? And you got all kinds of crazy, jumping, gags, I guess, jumping off from that one prompt.
Yeah.
To me, that was a lot of fun, and I still love reading through those.
Now, how many of these people do you actually know or know well?
Yeah, I would say I know all of them well. Some of the newer ones, I used to be in New York, so we'd all go to lunch in this grumbling gaggle of cartoonists. So those I knew very well. And some of the newer ones that we got into this newest issue, I know over the phone or over Zoom. So less well, but I feel like, there's a common starting point. Cartoonists are a rare breed, so we kind of recognize each other, and there's an immediate camaraderie. So, it was a lot of back and forth on, which word is funnier and how to draw things and just little nuanced stuff that we worked together on.
I think one of my favorite features, and maybe the favorite of them all, is the pie chart, because each of them has a pie chart and that is supposed to tell us something about their life or how they think. And I got to tell you, John O'Brien's is my favorite. It is so good. He also works small, really delicate, precise drawings, so he was able to get a lot into that little pie chart. People have to buy the book to see that, but John O'Brien's a master. It is incredible to watch some of these guys and to feel their minds as they're going through this whole process. I would assume that they were all pretty happy to do that too, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, there was some grumbling because it takes some time to go through it. But once they get the wheels rolling, people have enjoyed doing it. It's like a playground for a cartoonist brain to play in for a while. So, I think people enjoyed it.
So tell me about you yourself, because one of the things about this is too dark, too weird, too dirty. You give examples from your own work of cartoons that were rejected by the New Yorker in each of those categories. And I got to tell you, the pigeons are really, really cool. I like that one so much.
That's one of my favorites. It's a couple of pigeons high up on a ledge on the side of a building in New York or some city, New York, let's say. And, the perspective shows that they're high above like a busy street. And one of the pigeons saying to the other pigeon, I'd say my biggest influence is probably Pollock, which, that got rejected. I thought, it's a fancy sort of abstract artist reference, but at the end of the day, it's still about pigeon poop. So it's not going to go in a fancy magazine.
Thank you.
But I've been doing it for 20 years, cartooning at the New Yorker, and all the cartoonists in the magazine are, of course, regularly appearing, or in the book, rather, are regularly appearing in the magazine. This is just their outrageous stuff that they kind of do, but they know it's not going to sell because it's just wrong. But we end up showing it to each other and giggling. And this book is kind of like the cartoonists sort of in the basement, having our own little party.
Yeah, well, I sort of pictured, the old guys playing chess down at the park, but in this little corner of the park are all you guys sitting there with drawing pads.
Yeah, yeah, giggling and flipping paper to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So you put this all together, and this isn't the first time that you've put a compilation of these types of things together, but this is the first chance people get to actually look at these amazing works for you. Were there some in there that you said to yourself, man, I wish I'd have thought of that?
Oh, yeah. That's almost how, one cartoonist, in my case, me, picks other cartoons just by being, just recognizing brilliance in the craft and the idea and being like, oh, that was a good one. That was really my standard as much as possible. Gags that I see as being great and wish I had come up with.
Yeah, and one of the great things as well about the interview segments, I'm calling them interviews, the surveys that they filled out, was name something funny or unique or something that you've never been able to translate into a cartoon, but it really hit you. And to watch the way these minds go through these exercises that you give them, it really is fascinating.
Yeah. Because we're walking around, a lot of people think that we do that more than we actually do, like just observe something at a party or somebody saying something and turn it into a cartoon, but so often it just doesn't translate. So we all have these things in our head. I know there's a gag there. I know I can make that, but it's sometimes more challenging than you think. So, yeah.
Do any of you guys actually submit these things multiple times, hoping to slip it through the second or third time?
Sure, yeah. You sell some that way. Just because there's, I don't even know how many cartoonists there are who regularly are pitching. It's got to be around 100 of us, and there's maybe 12 spots each week in the magazine. Mm-hmm. So because something isn't bought that week doesn't mean it's not good. And like I say, in these books, we're doing the outrageous wrong ones, but there's perfectly good cartoons too that just don't have room for them. So you bring them back multiple times, and sometimes they sell further down the road, or you tweak them a little bit and you kind of crack it and then bring them back.
And the result is the best of the Rejection Collection. 297 cartoons that were too dark, too weird, or too dirty for the New Yorker. I'd love to have Matthew Diffee just to come by on a regular basis and stop and amuse us. But we have to let you go.
I love telling cartoons. Yeah, I love telling them over the radio. It kind of works.
Yeah. But it's just a fascinating work. The surveys are just wonderful. For folks who want to get their hands on this or want to learn more about you, the New Yorker, what they do, is there a particular place that you would direct them to go?
I'd send everyone to get the book, find a local bookstore and get yourself 12 copies.
There you go.
And then for us, we just started our social media. We're on Instagram and we're on Twitter, and it's just brand new, but it's going to be kind of a clubhouse for cartoonists to do crazy, rowdy stuff. So find us there.
Cool. Sounds like a great plan. Matthew Diffee, thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too.
And it is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160.